South Africans have understandably reacted with shock to the news of 13 of our soldiers being killed in the DRC. And given the state of the South African National Defence Force and the acute underfunding, one of the immediate concerns has been whether our troops had enough arms and other equipment to defend themselves. It is bad enough that our government failed to speedily take the public into confidence about what is happening there. But it is quite embarrassing when two members of the executive from the same portfolio contradict each other in public on what is happening. Secondly, our defense minister tells us that our troops are not there to fight the M23 rebels. Who is briefing this minister? Hello everyone, welcome back to Joe Talks Politics. I am your host Joseph Musia. Let's get right into it. It took Minister Angie Motshekga about a week to address the public about what is happening in the DRC that led to the deaths of 13 soldiers. This is simply unacceptable. We have indeed lost soldiers in this conflict in the past. 13, however, is a significant enough number to require the minister to immediately issue a statement acknowledging the events. In fact, the president, who is the commander-in-chief of the SANDF, should himself have already addressed the nation on this tragedy. He is the one who sent them there in the first place. Instead, the minister appears at a hastily and poorly arranged media briefing during a break in the cabinet Lekgotla to, by the way, address the issue. Had she prepared better and been properly briefed, she and her deputy would not have contradicted each other in such an embarrassing manner in front of the world's media.
Around Thursday, Friday morning, they said they are running out of ammunition and they wanted a reinforcement. The ammunition was sent by Saturday evening. It was in Congo. In eastern in Goma and so on.
I personally went to Goma and I got briefing from all the generals. At no stage did they say they have no ammunition. We reinforced on the basis that because there's been this escalated hostilities, then we spoke back home with the meeting that General attended with the National Council of Arms, to say it's going to be very important because the situation is very fluid and very problematic. It's going to be important for us to reinforce to make sure that we don't reach a stage where we don't have. But at no stage did any of the generals that I spoke, even the force leader, said to me, "We've run out of ammunition." No.
This is amateurish and unacceptable. And yes, why has the president taken so long before addressing this issue? Is it not on his list of priorities? Okay. Let us talk about why our soldiers are in the DRC in the first place. Of all the African countries, South Africa bears the greatest sense of responsibility to see that country succeed. The first and most important reason is to bring about stability. Armed conflicts anywhere on the continent are bad for everyone. They cause the suffering of the most vulnerable groups and uproot entire communities. Many of those fleeing these conflicts end up in neighboring countries that are struggling themselves. It has always been South Africa's policy that we cannot afford to be an island of prosperity in a chaotic region because all those people will naturally move south. Another reason is that South Africa has a leadership role in the region and the continent. Without playing big brother, the country is expected to assume much more responsibility than others to bring about peace, stability, and development. That is why we have been involved in efforts to bring about peace in the DRC, in Lesotho, Sudan, Burundi, Zimbabwe, Mozambique, and others. We should also not forget that our first president in the democratic era, Nelson Mandela, was the one who facilitated a peaceful transition that saw dictator Mobutu Sese Seko give up power. Since the departure of Mobutu, the western part of the country, which incorporates the capital Kinshasa, has largely been peaceful. The east, however, which is rich in minerals including gold, diamond, cobalt, copper, nickel, and others, has not known peace. It does not help that, with the DRC being so vast, the people in that part of the country view the government based in Kinshasa as not representative of their interests. Former President Thabo Mbeki is one of those who have dealt with the issues of peace in the DRC over the years.
But you remember what happened during the Mobutu years. Mobutu took the position that these are foreigners. It's like the South Africans here saying, I mean, they're Tswana-speaking people here in the Northwest. And suddenly we, the rest of the country, says, those are not South Africans, they must go to Botswana. So what happened in the Congo case, that's how you had the Mai Mai emerge in Eastern Congo. The Mai Mai were specifically targeting the Banyamulenge to drive them out of the Congo into Rwanda. But I'm saying it's the responsibility of the central government in the Congo to look after this population, which is Congolese. It's not Rwandan. It's Congolese. It's Rwandan speaking. That's the first problem. The second problem is that the administrative footprint of the government in Kinshasa does not reach the east. So you find a part that is part of the country which has got a very light experience of being governed by the government in Kinshasa. The country is very big. So you have a weak government, weak imprint of the government on the east. It means other forces emerge and take over. You see the M23. You can't avoid the phenomenon of the M23 as the government of the Congo unless you say we, the Congolese government, will protect the Banyamulenge because these are Congolese. If you don't say that, allowing other people to do as they wish towards the Banyamulenge, then M23 will continue to exist.
To complicate the situation even more, only a few years before Mobutu's fall, there was a genocide in neighboring Rwanda that saw close to 1 million Tutsis murdered. The perpetrators are said to have fled to the eastern DRC when the rebel army led by current President Paul Kagame took power. Rwanda has therefore supported the mainly Tutsi M23 rebel group that is fighting the government of the DRC. The United Nations has had a peacekeeping mission in the DRC known as MONUSCO for a long time. The SADC mission in the DRC, known as SAMI DRC, was set up by the regional body in 2023 to replace the United Nations Force Intervention Brigade and the East African Community Regional Force. Unlike MONUSCO, which is purely a peacekeeping effort, SAMI DRC has been set up to bolster the Congolese army in its fight against the rebel forces, including the M23. It looks like nobody has given our minister this crucial piece of information.
Unfortunately for us, when we're at Goma, DRC forces were fighting Rwandan forces over our heads. That's where we lost the 3 people. So we had to quickly communicate with M23 to say, we're not part of the battle, so don't fight over our heads. And indeed, that's why then we agreed with them that we'll host a white flag to say, we're not part of the battle, we don't want to be dragged into it.
Yet on its own website, SADC states the following. It says, as part of the SAMI DRC, a SADC regional force from the republics of Malawi, South Africa and the United Republic of Tanzania and elements of the DRC armed forces are working with the Congolese army in fighting armed groups operating in the eastern DRC. SAMI DRC, therefore, is a fighting force, Minister. It is not a peacekeeping force. Our troops are not there to stand and watch. They are there to fight. Why South Africa agreed to this mission in the first place is problematic according to many people. They argue that it can't be that the Congolese government relies on other people to solve its problems. It should accept that it lacks the military capacity to defeat its enemies and negotiate peace. They argue that it won't do so for as long as it knows other countries are willing to commit the lives of their citizens to its cause. If for no other reason, I believe we should stop committing our armed forces to foreign conflicts if our government is unwilling to adequately fund that function, as Deputy Minister Holomisa explains.
The defunding of the National Defence Force of South Africa led to us to say the state of readiness for our defence force. We cannot guarantee that we are ready because you are aware that we're struggling to even maintain the aircrafts like the helicopters which normally give cover, aerial cover to our troops when they are under attack. So in terms of that, we hope that the Department of National Treasury and the Cabinet will rearrange some of the priorities.
On the issue of Rwanda, it is quite extraordinary that a president of a country could use the kind of language Paul Kagame used concerning South Africa's president, Cyril Ramaphosa.
I spoke with the president of South Africa who sought me out to speak with me on this matter because of their involvement in Eastern Congo. And he's also there pretending to be playing a peacemaker role. And he has a force that has been fighting alongside FDLR and has been fighting the M23 on the instructions of Tshisekedi because these are people who are not supposed to be in Congo, that these are from Rwanda, or the M23 are not Rwandans, please. These are Congolese, and one time he accepts it, then another time he says, no, part of it is yes, and then the other part is from Rwanda, and these are He keeps on going. And how do we, leaders of our own countries, accept this to go on forever and just accept that we shall be manipulated by Tshisekedi or whoever?
Kagame has gotten away with quite a lot in the past without any serious consequences. In 2014, 4 of his goons were convicted in South Africa for trying to murder Rwanda's former army chief, General Faustin Nyamwasa, in 2010. Still in 2014, former intelligence chief Patrick Kareyega was strangled in his room in a luxury hotel. Another opposition figure, Saif Bamporiki, was shot and killed in Cape Town in 2021. It looks like Kagame is just about to go unpunished for killing South Africans in the DRC. In my view, withdrawing SADC from the DRC at this moment would be highly dangerous. Dangerous for the people of the DRC, the Great Lakes region, and the Southern and Central Africa. What would stop rogue players like Rwanda and others from overwhelming the DRC armed forces and taking over the region through their proxies? But if they are to stay, they should be reinforced with personnel and arms so as to facilitate genuine negotiations among the Congolese people for a lasting peace. If you enjoyed this episode, please like, share, and leave a comment. Don't forget to subscribe. See you in the next one.